My name is Serge ZIMALETA. I'm 37 years old, and yes, I experienced success after buying my first home for cash. Back in 2011, I was broke, but I learned to solve problems on my own. Now, I'm helping others to solve their problems. I know what pitfalls to avoid to stay profitable in business. Need motivation to be more successful in your life? Do you have Sprinter, Expedite, or business problems? Then subscribe. Let's find creative solutions to your problems. Hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of my helpful videos.
And welcome to another day with ZIMALETA. In today's video, I would like to talk about load boards. And if you're somebody that's trying to start one and you're wondering which load board you should actually use, this is the video for you. What do I actually mean by that? Well, if you're trying to really brainstorm right now, like you're a driver like me, maybe you're a truck driver, it does not really matter in this case right now, because what I'm getting ready to say, it's going to hit home for, all of you guys. And you're trying to see should I actually get into the business of loading other drivers, other owner operators, trucks or vans alike? And this is something that's been on my mind for a very long time. When I first started this business, I thought I'm gonna work part-time, just make a couple deliveries, then I'm gonna start doing that. But we're not gonna get into that right now. But what I do want to say is I've been an Expedite for the past 12 years. And obviously by being an Expedite, naturally I'm thinking I need to load other vans. But maybe that does not have to be the case, because maybe loading trucks is the way to go. So recently I've been really looking into this. I even visited one of my friends' offices. They load trucks. I got some information from them. I got to sit down and kind of interview them and stuff like that. And I recorded the screen monitor. We were trying to look for several loads for trucks and vans alike from that same load board. That company seemed to think that they could load vans, but the load board did not have van loads, which I wasn't surprised. That listing was there, available, maybe future use, maybe it's going to be there available, but for the most part, Selectus is where it's been, for a long time. First was GPS One, stuff like that. But loading vans, I guess it's a little bit more trickier. So there's that one website that established himself back in the day when nobody knew what a Sprinter was. You're like, what's a Sprinter? Now Sprinter is something that's on the load board, oh, it's a Sprinter load because it's really high, it is long, well, tall, I guess, and it's considered a sprint load. Cargo van load is considered like those Chevy Express vans and Ford Econoline lines. That's kind of like a cargo van load. Typically pay a little less. Sprinter pays a little bit more than a box truck, then of course a straight truck, then I guess a semi truck, and it goes on and on and on. So in order to start bidding loads for Sprinters, it's not very easy. You need to first have 1 year experience actually loading yourself on, I guess, connections that you establish over the years, if that's possible. Working with some kind of brokers, some kind of other logistics companies that's willing to load you, so you could build your credit score. On top of that, some Selectus, they want 5 vans that is working under you. Maybe it's 5 of your own vans, personal vans, or maybe 5 friends got together, 5 I guess contractors, drivers, whatever. And then of course in a year they're going to consider taking you on, and then you're going to have a payment of $300 per month. Which in this case, it's okay. It's normal, because, you waited, there is actually a way about it. If you want to load vans, there's a way about it to actually get to this point. And that's actually what I'm going to hit on next. But before I do want to mention this. Of course, for somebody that wants to start loading Expedite right away, you have to pay $6,000 for a setup fee. And actually used to be $9,000, so $6,000 is a discounted price, and it might go up. I don't know if maybe it went up by the time I made this video. I don't know. But I think that's quite pricey, because that's kind of like you paying for a franchise, but you're really not. You're just paying access to the software so you could start loading yourself or others, and that is a big price tag. They want a 3-year contract, which for for some of you guys, maybe you don't know if you're gonna survive. You're supposed to know if you're gonna survive the next 3 years. Business is not guaranteed. Like most businesses will fail like within the first year, especially if you're gonna start off with like $6,000. You know, you pay. Of course, they said that they could break it down. Like you could pay like monthly or whatever. You know, some installment fees, but still that's quite expensive. That almost means like you need to experience success right away or be sitting on a lot of money. And for me, that's I mean, it's feasible for me, but I think it's a lot of risk. It's certainly not for everybody. And I know what you guys are thinking. Well, if it's not for everybody, they should not be getting into the business. But you know, we all want to be successful. We all want to get out on our own and start loading ourselves. So being a driver, I think it's becoming a little bit more difficult nowadays. And when I say being a driver, being an owner-operator, working for yourself, and why is that being a little bit more difficult? More and more companies are realizing that they could rip us off. And at what point do you just say, listen, that like enough is enough? I'm just gonna load myself because it's just not worth it anymore. I do want to look at a couple things. I know I mentioned this before. I'm going to mention this again.
Destination on the right.
If something like IRS, when you do taxes, allows you to write off like 53 cents per mile, like for your expenses, then how do some companies get away with paying drivers for, you know, like 50 cents, 55 cents, 60 cents, 65 cents? Because at that price, you're either breaking even or you're becoming broke. It's just doesn't make much sense. So yeah, you know, those things are really important to think about. I think minimum you want to drive for is 80 cents. You don't want to really go below that. So here's a quick little, I guess, option, you know, for us drivers. That's an Expedite that we could actually take. Is first you start off with driving like for one of those companies. Open up MC number on the side because you already have the insurance for it, so it's not really costing you much because it's going to be maybe like an extra like $300 or less. I don't know the price exactly, so it doesn't really matter. So so you open that up, and maybe you get a load here and there. Maybe you know, find a contract here and there. But once it becomes a year old, you will get access to select it. So maybe at that time you're ready to actually load yourself. Maybe you establish yourself a little bit. But in this video, getting to this point, I found out that like there's like this other option, and that is to load trucks, because there's no contract for 3 years. And I'm gonna make a couple separate videos on this, but quickly I want to mention this for the expediters. Like if you just want to like load, okay, like why load yourself? Okay, like if you really think about it, like you're gonna be like having like lack of sleep. At the time you need to sleep, somebody needs to look for a load for you, and you're gonna be sleeping. Sure, some guys done it successfully before. Very few people. I guess they're kind of considered like outliers, you know. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but for the most of us, it's not going to be like a good idea. This is why I haven't done it this long, because I'm not ready to be bidding loads for myself, or at least I wasn't. I am getting to that point where I am ready. And I wasn't ready because, you know, many things in life, it's like they're tugging at you, you know, it's like a tug of war. So you can't really stop what you're doing and, you know, do that. I mean, if you can, then it means you really know how to manage your time really well, and you're like really business minded, and you could like delegate tasks. Well, in that case, then yeah, you could be pretty successful. But to delegate, you need money as well. So if it's costing you all this money, you know, for various different things, like I'm trying to do my own home remodeling and putting in my sweat equity and stuff like that, so I'm doing it myself. Sure, I could have hired somebody, but it would have cost me more money. That means I need to be more away from my home and stuff like that, and it's just not going to work. But this video is not about that. So basically, work a year, have your MC, you know, like ready and stuff, and I guess try out like loading either yourself or somebody else, maybe with the sprinters. But my thing is like this, okay, why should you wait a year, especially if you're like in the process of thinking about buying a new van, just so you can get into Expedite, why not just get into the actual loading right away? I mean, it doesn't cost you like that much. Like, there's not going to be like a huge overhead, because you don't have like any expensive van payment, like no like expensive insurance, because you could get the minimum requirement for the insurance, and open up your motor carrier number, DOT, pick up a couple websites. I'm going to mention them in the next video, when I'm actually going to talk about the trucking part. Couple of those websites, they're going to cost you like about $149 a month, and you could start immediately loading trucks, guys. And more on that later in the next video, of course. But that is just a thought, because that is a lot easier to dive into as far as loading. Sprinters are, you know, like in vans alike, they're easier to get into if you just want to start driving, because there's no DOT regulations for us, and we could just go. No logbooks, no special licenses required. But when it comes to loading, you're not really limited. You can load trucks, you can load vans, box trucks, and to be honest, there's a lot more money in the trucking industry than there is in the sprinter industry. You know, you'll stay a lot more busier and stuff like that. And I'm gonna talk about the upsides and downsides like in the next video, you know, on this topic. But anyways, guys, thanks for listening. Take care of yourself, and God bless you. Bye-bye.